Hey friend, it's dark half the time on this planet. Unless you got magic powers or a mountain of carrots, you're gonna need TNVC to see at nighttime the right way.
Howdy folks, welcome to another O.S.D video. I'm Jeff Gonzalez with AR15.com. If you're joining us for the first time, O.S.D stands for Observational Skills Development, where we're exploring videos of defensive gun uses and other violent encounters we find on the internet by breaking them down and adding the training element. We're going to observe the video, break down the elements of the situation, and develop a drill we can take to the range to improve our skills. In this video, we see a couple returning home when they are confronted by an armed robber at close range. The father, carrying his baby and a baby bag, waits for the suspect to be distracted with the loot before he draws his concealed handgun and delivers near contact shots. For this scenario, we are going to be practicing both a simple and complex version of the drills to build upon each skill as we go along. We want to always ensure safety is first and foremost by practicing the firearm safety rules. All right, drill number one. Shooter's going to start by facing downrange. Then on the signal, they're going to draw strong hand only and engage the target with 3 rounds. After that, they're going to repeat the same drill, except this time on the signal, they're going to move laterally, then draw and engage the target 3 rounds, strong hand only. Let's see how it looks.
All right, shooter, this will be 3 rounds to the body. Okay. Shooter, ready? Stand by. Go. Nice. As fast as you feel safe. That's all I want. All right, shooter, ready? Go. You know, take apart from the chapter we just finished, right? You would draw, then move.
Versus actually moving while going, yeah.
Just wanted to see what you were going to do.
Yeah.
I didn't know what you would do, so I just...
That was an interesting wrinkle because I kept thinking to myself, like, okay, I also am trying not to, like, shield myself with child. That's the other thing. It kept me in this weird rut. I remember thinking to myself...
Did you see how the baby ended?
I haven't taken a step yet. And then I kept trying not to blade. Yeah. And so I kept trying to do this. And then I started stepping across, and then it was funny. The first one was weirder. The second one was less complicated. Yeah. But I noticed my first step wasn't until I was already like halfway up.
Oh, it was way more than that. You were shooting. Movement is the priority first. At this close range, we want to be moving. Even though all of our training says that I need to draw and then shoot, draw and then shoot, I believe that a lot of times that is perpetuated simply from a safety point of view and not necessarily a realistic point of view, right? In our case, whenever we're doing anything that's close range or any of our combatives, priority of work is always movement, creating space, then tools, weapons, whatever I might have, right? So that's the big takeaway here. And it's not a dogma per se, it's just what is programmed in your psyche as far as like draw, shoot, draw, shoot. Yeah. But the difference between the moving, then drawing and shooting, or even moving while drawing, right? That's the other thing. It's like if you can do the two together well, awesome. But if you can't and you're going to screw up one of them, then I would just kind of like keep moving. Because if I screw up the draw stroke after I've already moved, at least I'm moving and I'm off that X. Yeah. I'm not still right there getting center punched, right? Because I'll take my chances with a moving target versus a stationary target because there's nothing stopping me from getting my draw stroke jammed standing still either. Yeah. Okay, they can happen from both conditions, right? So if they can happen from both conditions, the aspect of moving at least buys me a little bit of time to re-clear. Make sense? Yeah. All right, let's get to the next drill. All right, drill number 2, we're going to be doing near contact and contact, right? So we start with our near contact with the 3 positions, kind of what we call an around the world drill. Right? And the purpose behind this is to help illustrate the importance behind getting that elbow changed, that elbow orientation, right? We're going from a fully extended to about a 90 degree. I want to go 90 here, 90 here, 90 here, okay? And that is, again, to simulate the different positions that my arm might be in if I'm dealing with a gun grab or even a gun parry. Even a gun parry. Now, we're talking about this distance here, this range, near contact, okay? So, questions? All right, let's get it done. Shoot ready? Yes. Line's hot. 1 round each. Nice. All right, so now what we're going to do is you're going to extend the gun out and then come back to each position.
Okay.
Ready? Go. Nice. Holster up. So again, the reason behind this is to simulate how near contact shots can be valuable. Like when you saw the video, you saw that that contact shot basically happened like this. So he was just outside of that one position. I like to keep that elbow tight to my body. I don't want to overextend, because if I'm going to overextend, I'm going to contact. I'm just going to go straight in. And so each of those positions, you know, ideally is always at a 90-degree angle, right? So this is 90, this is 90, this is 90 each time. And so the gun is actually the 90-degree angle. If anybody grabs or parries or does anything, I don't always have to try to regroup to come back in here. That parry, I can just immediately just come right up to that high 90 or even that mid 90 and still be able to get a good hit. All right, live fire drill number 3. Shooter's going to start with the odd object in his right hand, right? Then what he's going to have to do is, on the command of threat, he's going to have to transfer the odd object from the right hand to the left hand safely, draw, and he's going to execute a failure drill. All right, so what we're trying to do is compare the difference between carrying objects, any object, whether it's an odd object or not, in our gun hand versus trying to carry them in our non-gun hand. Let's see how this goes. Shooter ready. Yep. Stand by. Go. Nice. Start with the kettlebell in the left hand now.
Okay.
Shooter ready?
Yep.
Stand by. Go. And holster. Clearly you can see the difference.
Yeah.
Big
it's
time.
a lot faster.
Oh.
Also, what's weird is like...
And we're not even adding movement to that.
That's what I was thinking, yeah. Because the other thing is like, imagine like you have a backpack and now it's harder to feed, or worse, a jacket.
Yeah.
And I was like, one-handed draws already suck. There's this extra movement, and then as I was coming back, I was like, then technically, imagine holding that for 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is common with a kid.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Or they fight you on it.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was my worst thing, is that the first thing they'll do is clench onto you.
Yeah, yeah.
They're gonna have like shove the kid over.
Yeah.
And then I was
you
like,
could
yeah.
see when he got the baby was like all the way draped down here, like the baby just kind of drooped down to this kind of hold he had. It was.
That's as good as you were gonna get.
Yeah, it was a little scary.
The more I thought about it, the more I was like, this gets so much worse the more I thought down the path of...
Never, or I should say, make a conscious effort to keep the gun hand open, right? Don't do anything with this hand that you could do with this hand. That means cell phones, coffees, tablets, anything, like carrying a bag, a shoulder bag, whatever. Try to always carry it on your non-gun hand, weak side. That make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was I'm not saying it can't be done, because you guys did a great job of moving that 30-pound weight from one side to the other, but you could see the complications of, let's start adding a little movement to this. Our next evolution is to deal with contact, right? We got contact ready, we did near contact, now we're going to do contact. We saved contact for last because it's probably going to destroy the target, right? So let's talk about contact. Now, again, contact is an in extremis type response to an already bad situation, right? But why am I going to be using contact? What's the value behind contact? If you think about it from one simple concept, contact clears up your field of fire, right? Because even though, remember, contact ready, near contact, I have no confirmation of where my sights are. I really don't. But the moment I make contact, I know exactly where my sight is, because it's where my muzzle is.
Yep.
So it's a good way to ensure that if I'm inside this double arm interval, inside that double arm, like think of it inside of a phone booth, then a contact shot is probably going to be your go-to. Always think too that contact shots do not have to be chest region. Contact shot can be anywhere, right? I can contact shot their toe, their foot, and that's going to give me a response, right? Ideally, maybe that's not my go-to, but you know, if I'm scrambling and I get that gun out of the holster, I might just shove it in to their rib cage area, to their shoulder area, to maybe even some other part of their upper torso, right? The key thing here is that I need to make sure from a safety point of view that my arms only reside at shoulder length and above. I never put my arm anywhere below that, right? So I can underhook, I can collar tie, I can hair grab, I can do all of that as long as my contact with that person with this hand is above the shoulder line. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because that will ensure that any shots that I take down here, I don't have a shoot through, right? If I do something like go for a seatbelt around their torso and I shoot from right here, I potentially could shoot myself, right? So try not to do that, right? You're in a bad situation, don't make it worse.
Yeah, for real.
Now, with the contact shot, the big thing that you're going to realize is that when you do make contact, there is this idea that contact is going to immediately disrupt the cycling of the firearm. It can. It doesn't always work that way. And here's the secret. As soon as I make contact, did you feel that?
Yeah.
So as soon as I make contact here,
Come off a bit.
I just come off just enough so that I don't engage the internal safeties of the firearm.
Yeah, you're not taking the gun out of the battery.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. So I need to make contact, so I'm going to make contact,
Yeah.
and then I back off just enough to allow me to maintain physical contact with that. Right? So if you have the presence of mind to do that, then there's a good chance that the gun will stay in battery, not deactivating the internal safeties, and allow you to fire multiple shots from contact. But every time, you have to make sure that you are not pressing in. Right? And just remember that it's going to be very chaotic. Things are going to be flying. So it may be that you do still see the gun stop cycling because of some foreign objects and debris. All right? So.
That's why we practice that.
Huh?
And that's why we practice that.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, so the way this drill is going to work is shooter's going to come up to a defensive posture, right? You are then going to physically, I'm going to have you start with the gun in the holster, and then on my command go, shooter's going to draw, and you can make contact wherever you want. You can say, you know what, I'm going to go for the right side, I'm going to go for the chest, I'm going to go for the abdomen, whatever. All right, just as long as the muzzle stays downrange, I don't really care where you want to put the muzzle as far as your contact shot. Think about the fact that you're tussling with somebody. You know, I'm not going to always be able to get my muzzle right here, okay? And it doesn't have to be, because if you think about the torso, the vital anatomy is most of the time reflected in this two-dimensional kind of idea, right? You need to look at this as a three-dimensional object. So 8-inch circle, 8-inch globe. Right? So I don't have to be right here. I can be right here and still get the projectile into the center of the vital anatomy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So that helps us out with a contact shot, that as long as I'm staying close to that, region, angles are really going to be less of a concern. Shoot-through angles are still maybe high, but my angle as far as getting good hits into the vitals, not so much.
Cool.
All right. So shooter, stand by. I'm just keep my hand on your shoulder just for security. Ready and go. All right, well, that wasn't contact, but okay. Holster up. Do you know why that wasn't contact?
Yeah, I soaked my gun in almost instinctively.
Well, I said the reason why it wasn't contact is because this target is not destroyed.
Oh.
That's why it's not contact. Yeah, you do this enough, you'll see that. Okay, so let's try to do this correctly. Even though you screwed up the target, we're going to do this correctly. I want you to physically make contact with, I mean, you're going to see this.
Okay.
That's all I want. Okay, shooter ready. Go. There we go. Holster up. You see that? That's what we're looking for.
That's what we want.
That's exactly what I want. The important thing to take away is that a contact shot can be a relevant shot if the situation dictates.
Yeah.
Right? And it's one of these things where combat tactics, you start getting inside of close spaces, you start getting inside of, that double arm interval, and it's a different world. And what I mean by that is the traditional aspect of defensive gun use and fighting is different, right? So a combat tactic that we would employ, we probably wouldn't do this in a lot of training classes where we do contact shots, but we have done contact shots where we take big slabs of meat, cover it in dip, and you come right up there and you get a feel for what that contact shot really is like, where you can actually feel pressure pushing in, and then you can learn how much to push in and what's that go, no-go criterion, right? Mm-hmm. So there's value in that. And the value is that, hey, it's an option that I don't want to leave on the table. I want to be able to exploit every defensive measure available to me, but especially when I'm this close.
Sure.
This close makes things very dangerous, very, very suspect.
Yeah.
Big takeaway.
Oh, I just think it's interesting. Like all of it felt awkward until after about the third or second rep, and it was much easier to the second or third time to do it.
Yeah.
And I would hate for my only skill set to depend on when using my gun was this.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
then you start to think like, yeah, I'm fighting or holding something
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
It makes a lot more sense to it. But at least try.
Yeah.
It's not something you're going to necessarily do every day.
Exactly.
Understand how all this stuff works.
And the key thing is that we have to have a familiarization to it.
Yeah.
A familiarization is a surface scan.
Yeah.
It's not proficient. It's not competent. It's just in the worst case of scenarios. I remember doing this.
Yep.
Because when we do start to get into those grappling scenarios, the tighter it is against my body, the harder it is. I mean, you would have to be just like a beast of a person to get that gun pulled away and taken away when it's tight into the body like that. You would have to be really, you'd have to know what you're doing and be big.
Yeah, and weapon retention, it's very easy to sit there. Since it's close to your body, you're not having to pull it in already.
Yeah.
To be able to do countermeasures or
Yeah,
whatever
absolutely.
it is. It makes a lot
All right, that's it.
Cool. What are you doing for the rifle one?
So let's go back and talk. Thanks again, everyone. We really appreciate you watching and supporting the series. Give us some feedback or share your experiences while running the drills in the comments down below. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share these videos. If you know of other videos that would make for great reviews, email them to OSD@AR15.com. Until then, I'm Jeff Gonzalez. Stay safe or be dangerous. Damn. Yeah, and I was even slowing things down.